It basically says that the sum of the measures of the angles inside of a triangle is 180. So here I have any triangle, and what I'm gonna start off with is just sort of saying like a very redundant thing, which is this, that it's a triangle that I have here, ABC, triangle ABC. That's what's given. Now, the next thing that I'm gonna say here, I'm gonna call this line L. Okay, I'm gonna say that L, line L, this line, is parallel to AC. Now, this is maybe the more difficult aspect, but the basic idea here is that you can always, this is some segment, and then B is some point off the segment. So here it's like, you have this, then you have a point off the segment. There's a postulate that says that there always exists exactly one line through that point that's parallel to the segment. Okay, so I drew that line. Okay, so here's B, and here's segment AC. I drew L such that it would be parallel to AC. So here's the signs denoting that it's parallel. And that can be done, that's a postulate. We'll just say parallel line postulate. Parallel line postulate. And you could convince yourself that this can always be done. You could take some time and you could see, like, you draw a line, you draw a point off that line, there exists exactly one line through that point that's parallel to the given line. Okay, now let's see. Okay, after this, there's a few directions you can go in. I'm going to go in the direction of calling this angle right here between L and BA or AB. I'm going to call that angle X, and I'm going to call this angle over here between L and BC, I'm going to call that angle Y. And I'm going to notice relationships between X and Y here. Or I'm going to notice relationships between X and A and Y and C. If you look, okay, this is L over here on top. Let's say this is L. And let's say that this is AC over here. BA, let's say, looks like this, where I've extended AC. So this is where A would be, right? Or A would be over here. This is the point A. Here we go. Okay. So A is over here, right? In that region. Here's X. And it's much easier to see where I'm not drawing that extra segment, that if these two lines are parallel, that X and A are actually alternate interior angles, and then therefore congruent. So these two lines are parallel. L and AC are parallel to each other. This is AC, this is L. You should notice that X and A are alternate interior angles. So I have X is congruent to angle A. And I also have, if you look at this one, right, if I draw this again, but now this time I draw BC. So BC looks like this. Y is over here. C is over here, and again, these two lines are parallel. So you should actually see that also, again, Y and C are congruent because they're alternate interior. So I'll put that in one step. Y is congruent to angle C, and that's because for both of these, this is alternate interior angles theorem. Alternate interior angles theorem. And now I'll say right away what I get from congruence, just to make this easier. If two angles are congruent, then their measures are equal. Okay, and why I'm doing this, why am I doing this? You'll see now. This is definition of congruent angles. Five. Okay. Now let's see. Let's go with the other statement. We know, right, these three angles together, angle Y, angle B, and angle X, form the straight line. If I go through all of them, I have this straight line L. So then that means that the sum of these angles, measure of, let's say, X plus B plus Y, measure of Y, has to equal 180 degrees. Because they form that straight line L. And this is, let's say, we'll just say form. These angles together form a straight line. Form a straight line. Now 6. Okay. And this is our last step. We're done pretty much. Look, X is equal to A. So instead of writing X here, what can I write? I could write A. I could substitute. So measure of angle A instead of X, right? X is equal to A plus measure of angle B. That just stays the same. Plus, and now again, instead of writing measure of angle Y, I could write measure of angle C is equal to, and I just substituted, so this equals 180, didn't change that. And this is just substitution, and you're done. You showed that basically, you showed that the measure of A plus the measure of B plus the measure of C, this was any triangle. This entire argument could have been made for any triangle. You showed that the measure of the three angles in a triangle is 180 degrees, and this is called the triangle sum theorem.